I realized the way, if you like live in a rich and like a wealthy school zone, which we just happen to do in our like rental, the way that you can become rich, this is like the American dream that I realized. It's through public schools, basically. It's like you put your kid in this school that is in like a wealthy school zone, then he grows up around a bunch of rich kids and they go on boats.
This is not true. This doesn't work this way.
No, I think this is like a good backdoor way to become,
it's not like going to Harvard is a little different than going to high school in the OC.
Yeah, but like it's not just the OC, it's Laguna Beach, and like the school zone we live in is like rich kid central. So that's how I'm going to infiltrate wealthy society, is through my child.
These people aren't that's not wealthy society. I hate to break it to you.
Well, if it's a school zone in a rich area, public school zone, then they're not going to do private schools because
how much money do you think a rich person has?
$1 million.
So a homeowner in California is a rich person.
Yeah.
Okay. Because like rich people consider, I think you're not considered rich till you have like $26 million, according to like some bank. I read about this like one bank where they talked about like what's the threshold for when they start treating you very differently, and it's like $26 million in like in investment money.
Everybody else is working class, the proletariat.
Well, you're not working class, but you're just like upper middle class. You're just a homeowner in LA, and you're kind of stretched. You probably have a huge mortgage.
Yeah, you're not rich if you have a mortgage. That you know what I mean? Like,
but your plan is terrible, and you've told me this already, and it's not going to work. Yeah.
Well, that's all I got.
Your theory is awful.
That's the only way I can think about to how to get rich.
And then your kid's gonna be rich? That doesn't mean you're gonna be rich.
Yeah, and he's gonna love me, so he's gonna take care of me when I get older. This is my plan. It's a long con.
Do you take care of your parents?
Well, I'm not rich. See? Get what I'm saying? Now are you seeing my great idea?
Sounds like you didn't grow up with money and you don't understand money, and I feel bad for you.
The only thing I know about rich people is that they do not want to give anybody else anything. That's the only thing I know from my interactions with the rich people.
And that's how your son's going to treat you. They're not going to want to give you anything. They're going to be like, sorry, Dad, you should have saved more money growing up. That's one thing I learned from all my rich high school friends.
Fuck, that would suck if that happened in 18 years.
If you want your kid to be rich, you got to get him into Harvard or Yale. Like, you have to get him into an Ivy League school where they can join the CIA.
That sounds good.
Like that movie, The Good Shepherd.
Okay. Well, yeah. All right, I'll do that.
So you better teach your kid violin now.
Yeah.
I know he's like, a couple weeks old. A couple weeks old. Yeah, you got to get your kid into Harvard.
Yeah, okay. That's my goal. But yeah, it's going good. I'm not tired.
So you sleeping a lot?
He's doing okay, actually, but man, sometimes it sucks.
How's your movie watching rate?
Well, it's going okay, actually, because there's time, you're just kind of sitting there. Like if he's down for a nap, I'm not really a napper. So like I have a little bit of movie watching time during the day. And yeah, so I've been fleshing out my Jackie Chan filmography a little bit in preparation for this episode, which is going to be incredible. I can already tell.
Yeah, Rumble in the Bronx.
Hell yeah.
It's the big movie.
Yeah.
So when did you first see this movie, when it came out?
Of course. I remember the trailer, the preview was narrated by Ben Stein. He's like, this is Jackie Chan. He does his own stunts. And I was like, oh man, this is fucking amazing looking. So yeah, I remember going to see it in the theater, and the rest is history. So
when this movie came out, it was a very clever marketing scheme the Weinsteins came up with. So no, it's New Line Cinema, I thought. Oh yeah, it's not Miramax. Okay. Well, nice there's something going on, because I assumed it was the Weinsteins because Tarantino, in 95, like a year after Pulp Fiction, he was famous, and they're like, how are we going to get him at the MTV Movie Awards? So they gave Jackie Chan the Lifetime Achievement Award. And Tarantino came out and he gave a big speech saying like, Jackie Chan's so cool. He does all his own stunts. This guy's awesome. And then Jackie Chan came out. He's like, thank you, everybody. And like, he gave a speech. And I was like, who the hell is Jackie Chan? Because I was like 12 years old.
Yeah.
And then within a few weeks, the Rumble in the Bronx, the trailer came out. So it was all very timed. And
yeah.
I mean, I guess, okay, so here's the thing. MTV, they're a Viacom company. Yeah, so there wasn't really any synergy, but it was just like, I think it was just to get Tarantino on the MTV Movie Awards was the reason why Jackie Chan got the Lifetime Achievement Award.
Don't take that away from him, man.
The other thing Jackie Chan said was, I'm very young. I don't know why I'm getting the Lifetime Achievement Award.
He didn't know what he was saying if it was in English. So
you think he got the
phonetically reciting?
You don't think it's a coincidence that he got or you don't think it was planned that he got the MTV Movie Award before his big movie was about to come out in America?
No.
He was so big on MTV. They loved Drunken Master and Police Story, and
well, this was the third time, that he tried to break into the American audiences and stuff. So maybe he was just like, we got to fucking do everything we can because I'm 40 now.
So yeah, it was a smart idea and it worked.
Yeah.
It made him famous. That's what I'm saying. Like it actually, if you want to, like this movie was pushed really hard on MTV. And
damn, I don't remember that.
Yeah. So that was what was going on.
Okay. So the guy that you liked is the reason why the guy that I liked became popular.
And the other thing going on in 95 is that the Hong Kong changeover was about to happen, going back to China. That happened in 97. So in 95, John Woo, Chow Yun-fat, Jackie Chan, the biggest players in the Hong Kong market, they came to America. And then like Michelle Yeoh,
right
after Super Cop came out.
Wait, was that like an embargo sort of shit? Like why did they wait till?
Well, they wanted to get out of. They didn't want to. So Hong Kong was fully independent, British ruled, essentially, but fully independent democracy. And in 97, they were going back to being ruled by China. And for a good 20 years or so, they had some autonomy. But in the last 3 years, that's when like the crackdown started. And like just now, like a bunch of democratically elected Hong Kong politicians were just like arrested, I think, in the last few weeks. So
yeah, I'm laughing because it's funny that Jackie Chan is like on the side of the Chinese government.
Well, he went back, he joined back with China. I mean, he did the American thing for a while, but that's the writing's on the wall. Like China's definitely going to take over Hong Kong. China's probably going to take over Taiwan. That's what they're gearing up to do.
Damn. I mean, yeah, China's going to be like ruling the world in the next century or whatever.
Yeah. So it was they tried to get out and go to America, but in the long run, John Woo, Chow Yun-fat, they eventually, a couple of bad projects, a couple of bombs.
Yeah. They're like, get the fuck out of here.
They're all making movies in China again.
Yeah. No, I love this late in life turn that Jackie's made of being like this Chinese nationalist. And also, yeah, he was in the Panama Papers, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, he's extremely wealthy.
Yeah. And also his son went to jail for smoking weed, and he was like, supported that. He was like glad that his son got sent to jail for smoking weed.
Yeah, he has to. He can't say anything bad about the government, or he can't make a movie ever again. They will just take the money out of your bank account in China. The government will just take the money out. It's a full on, dictatorship at this point.
Fucked up. Well, I think he should come back. I think Americans would welcome him back with open arms.
I heard a thing recently that he like admitted that he slept with like hundreds of prostitutes.
Prostitutes?
Yeah, in his autobiography, Jackie Chan said like he just fucked a ton of prostitutes.
He prostitutes? Why prostitutes? They wouldn't fuck him just because he was Jackie Chan. He had to still pay for it.
You don't have sex with prostitutes because you can't get laid.
Oh,
you have sex with prostitutes so they go away after you're done.
I see.
That's what Charlie Sheen said. He's like, I don't pay prostitutes to sleep with me. I pay them to leave.
Oh, damn.
But yeah, so in his upcoming memoir, Never Grow Up, his fans will likely be shocked to learn that the action star once threw another toddler, his own son, JC, across the room during an argument with his wife. So that's one big detail in the memoir.
Nice.
And then, according to excerpts published in the Daily Mail, he used to visit prostitutes and drive even when he was drunk. Once he crashed a Porsche in the morning and a Mercedes-Benz later at night. So yeah, I mean, look, he's just doing his thing.
Yeah, he's fucking awesome.
If he's got to sell out his son to the government, then he'll sell out his son to the government. And that's the thing. Jackie Chan is a sellout, and the reason why he'll never be as respected as Bruce Lee is because Bruce Lee stood up to the triad and he got killed for it. Even though Jackie Chan's movies
hold on. What do you mean he got killed for it?
Even though Jackie Chan's movies are the highest grossing action movies in Hong Kong and Chinese history, Bruce Lee will always be number one. Thank you.
What do you mean he got killed by the triads?
That's the rumor I learned in 8th grade.
Okay, I see. Because what actually happened was he was doing Good Mornings, which is like a barbell exercise, and he like pulled his back, and then he overdosed on like Percocets or something like that.
That's what the triad told you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyway, Jackie. I'm excited. I want to read this new book that he's coming out with. Hell yeah! I read the one when I was a kid. I read the first one called I Am Jackie Chan, but it didn't have anything like this. So, yeah.
I'm not a big Jackie Chan fan. Like, I've always found his like good-natured silliness to be very off-putting. And even though he's enormously talented,
why is it off-putting to you?
Because, like when people say like, oh, this person's likable, I hate that.
Because you think it's covering up that they fuck thousands of prostitutes and threw their son.
That makes me that I find likable. I just don't like nice people. Like I watched the new Tom Hanks movie, News of the World.
Yeah. And
this is his career in the Wild West. He goes from town to town reading the newspaper, informing, the ignorant rednecks and all these like bodunk fuck off towns in Texas. And it's like, oh, what a good guy. And I was just like, this sucks.
Yeah. Well, that sounds lame.
These movies are so much better when you have like a murderer or an angry person.
Yeah. But Jackie's persona.
Bad actor.
I mean, what's that?
He's a bad actor.
She's an incredible actor, especially when he has to speak English, I think. It really brings out his thespian chops. But, well, he grew up in the opera school, and so he's like a performer. Like, he's not like a martial artist. Or, I mean, he is, of course, but like not in the way that Bruce Lee is. He's more of like a acrobat and like a clown acrobat. And
I know you tend to like you like Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton and stuff, right? Like you like
Kings.
You like the spectacle of like, look at this room. Everything's like getting knocked around and the guy's doing like loop-de-loops.
Yeah, that's cool.
Jumping around. He jumped through a shopping cart.
That's heroin to me.
I like Bruce Lee because Bruce Lee is just pissed all the time. I just don't think his movies are. I don't think the action is that good in his movies. In his few movies that he was able to make. Unfortunately, he died early, and he never got to. And all the innovations that occurred later on, he could not participate in. It's like a guitarist who died in the early '60s. It's like, oh, you never got to hear the cool '70s, '80s production advances with their work.
Yeah. But Jackie and Sammo Hung and stuff, they were I think, I mean, I don't know if this is true, but like they were the ones to figure out figure out how to shoot their fights and stuff. And like they made their fights better over their course of their movies. And like they got to the point where they were at where these fights are like fucking amazing and like really fast. And like you really feel the hits and like, cause they did like I watched the
how many movies did Jackie Chan make before Rumble in the Bronx?
Of course. But
15 movies, 20 movies.
Yeah. I mean, at least.
I mean, he's in Fist of Fury with Bruce Lee. Like he's one of the stuntmen.
I think he's in he's in 2 Bruce Lee movies as a stuntman.
Yeah. And so basically the way it worked was they had like, if you were a stuntman in China, you were employed year round. Mm-hmm. And whenever they needed a bunch of stuntmen, they were just ready to go. So the same people are in all the same movies. Like, yeah, you'll see the same guy in like City on Fire and Hard Boiled and The Cat, cool. Or like Ricky O. Like they're just popping up. Exactly. So they're just, the whole system got better. So I'm just saying Bruce Lee died at the beginning and they were kind of lost for a few years in terms of looking for a new star. And they kept trying to copy Bruce Lee, and Jackie Chan, he was smart and he was like, look, I'm not going to be Bruce Lee. I'm going to be scared. I'm going to be funny. I'm going to be different.
Yeah.
And that allowed the 80s to like move on past Jackie Chan. But all these fight innovations, all these amazing things they started doing in the 80s and 90s, like that was just part of the continuation of the process. Okay. And I think if Bruce Lee was alive, he would have kept up.
That'd have been cool. Yeah.
And he would have been cool. He would have been cooler than Jackie Chan.
But Jackie Chan's not trying to be cool. He's trying to be funny.
That's what I don't like.
I appreciate funny.
I mean, and then when he's funny, he's not funny in the right way.
No, Jackie Chan can be very funny, I think.
What do you think is the funniest moment in Rumble in the Bronx?
Oh man, honestly, this movie is fucking hilarious, I think. But part of a big reason for that is the dubbing is incredible. The funniest thing in Rumble in the Bronx, maybe when he gets almost beaten to death by a bunch of bottles in an alley. No, I don't know. Like,
you said he's hilarious, so Adam, tell me what scene is hilarious.
When he gives the little kid Game Gear that has no game in it.
See, well, you keep listing mistakes, and that's the thing. He's fun. The funniest thing in the entire movie, in my opinion, is the outfit he's wearing when he jumps out the window while the motorcycle race is going on.
Yeah,
he's sleeping in a onesie, and he looks ridiculous, and they don't even make a joke out of it. They don't even understand that's a joke.
Yeah,
it's just like, it's not like anyone goes, these gangsters are like, oh my God, look at what you're wearing, dude. You look like a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
You know, like almost everything that's funny in this movie is a mistake, or it's not a mistake. It's like part of the cultural translation getting messed up. Totally. So he's really not that funny. They're just kind of, he's like a goof.
Yeah, it's a goof. I mean, maybe we'll see what happens when we go through it a little bit more. But I'm a little.
Well, you can think about it, but tell me if you really think if there's a scene that is truly funny, that's on purpose.
What about the scene where the two-way mirror?
So that scene, I would say, was not funny, but I would say that was the most cinematic scene in the movie. That was I thought that was the most interesting. I thought that was the best, like one of the best cinema, like the way the setup was very organic. He's on the other side of a two-way mirror.
Yes.
Or a one-way mirror, or whatever the fuck it's called. And, he's looking goofy. The girl's laughing at him. Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, this is good setup, because then I know this is going to be used again. They're just setting this up. And
of course, it's just it was a
totally
little gag.
And then it pays off with him seeing the robbers.
Honestly, yeah, of course. Honestly, though, in Police Story, I would say he's funny, like genuinely funny in Police Story. I can't think
What
of the
part?
stuff of it, like that scene where he's doing with the phones, or like when he's what's coming to mind is like when he's like taking pictures after he does his big hero thing at the beginning, and he's like a hot shit now. He's like taking pictures on a bike, on a motorcycle, and like pointing and like posing for it and stuff. Like it's done up. It's funny. I mean, it's not like.
I mean, I think Police Story's his best movie.
Yeah,
and he also directed it.
Of course.
But yeah, I felt most of the humor in this movie was accidental.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
And that's part of the reason why I don't like Jackie Chan. It's like he's so talented, he's such a good fighter, but it's just these movies I don't like the vibe of the movies, and they don't really work in my opinion, except for like Police Story.
I think that's a pretty soft.
Because the other thing is like
sort of way to look at it.
So, well, I'm being critical.
Well, I
have an opinion.
I saw that you gave this movie a 3 stars on Letterboxd, and I'm taking that as a personal insult. Well,
look, there are amazing stunts in the movie.
Yeah,
there are just amazing stunts. It's just that I'm not gonna. Does anyone actually think the plot of this movie is good?
It's incredible.
No one does.
It's like
this
Wire.
Movie's not about the plot or the story. So
but
the other thing that's interesting about this movie is I watched the New Line version, the American release, and apparently in the Hong Kong version, they cut out a ton of things that explain elements of the film. Like he's supposed to be a cop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But in the American version, they don't even have him as a cop. So it doesn't make any sense.
He's just a Chinese guy
who's extremely good at kung fu, like absurdly good at kung fu.
Yeah.
The other thing is, why is he always scared if he's so good at kung fu?
He doesn't want to fight.
But he's really good at kung fu. So why doesn't he want to fight?
Well, isn't that kind of humanizing? That's my problem with Bruce Lee a little bit too. Is like he
wants to fight.
Yeah, well, he's like inhuman. He wants to look superhuman. And
well, he is.
I mean,
he's invincible. He literally didn't die. He Kidding. Yeah. I
saw Dragon.
He's
the Bruce
arrogant.
Lee story.
Bruce Lee's an arrogant asshole. That's what makes him cool.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean, Jackie's got that. Fucking. He's more relatable, I would say. Sure, maybe also, it's a calculated thing, but it's also like that's how they can be a comedic character. Comedic character wants to run away, doesn't want to fight, and that also makes his fight scenes more crazy. I think kind of how like Indiana Jones, those like as an action star, he's like kind of getting beat up during his like the action scenes, and he's not just killing it and like just doing like amazing shit. Like it makes it more fun to watch what I don't know what that word is, but like. Yeah, like for it to be like a struggle makes it more intense,
It's true. But one of those actors is still working and in big Hollywood films, and the other one is relegated to making Chinese propaganda in another country.
Harrison Ford is making Chinese propaganda. Yeah. But anyway.
Now that he can't move as much.
Well, I mean, his body...
star has faded.
Who knows?
Right? I mean...
Yeah, of course. Well, he did his thing. He has his body of work. And now he's doing... I watched that, the one that he made with Johnny Knoxville. And I could see that they were like, oh, this movie... Like on paper, I was so into what they were trying to do. But both him and Johnny Knoxville like can barely move now. And so they couldn't do the movie that they... should have been able, like if it was like 15 years ago or something like that, it would have been this amazing movie where Jackie Chan was using Johnny Knoxville as like a prop in his fight because Johnny Knoxville can't fight. So they try to do that in the movie that they made, but they have to do a bunch of fake wire shit and CGI and stuff like that. And like, it just, it's unsatisfying. It makes you long for what could have been.
Yeah, there's such a shelf life for these athletic kind of performers. They can't do it. forever.
But damn,
And also the other thing that makes Rumble in the Bronx good is that the stunts are truly dangerous. There's like,
totally.
and just like Police Story at the end, they show the end credits. So you're seeing the accidents, you're seeing people get hurt.
Yeah. This the blooper reel on this one, sometimes they're fun and they like have more like mistakes in them and shit. But this one is more like just people getting wrecked.
Yeah. Like the girl broke her leg on the motorcycle crash where she fell on her face.
Yeah. And when Jackie jumps on the hovercraft, you can see his ankle like,
yeah, he snaps
in the movie. That's in the movie. But like,
yeah, you see the pain on his face.
Yeah.
So you definitely got to see the Blu-ray of this movie.
Ooh, yeah. Zoom in. And then the movie he made after this, because he fucked his ankle up, was like a car racing movie, which is like a very clever solution to get him to keep working. To be like, oh, I can just, my other foot is fine. Like, oh, it's my pedal foot. Like, let's make a car racing movie. It's genius. You're just really cranking shit out. He never stopped.
Hong Kong had an amazing run of movies for like decades, and it's really sad that it's not doing the output anymore. And I mean, the 80s and 90s, there were just hundreds and hundreds of movies coming out of one, like one state, essentially. It's bigger than a city, but
yeah,
they had an
coming out of like Delaware.
Output.
It's basically like a bunch of amazing movies coming out of Delaware.
Well, it'd be like coming out of New York. It's a giant city. It's bigger than New York City.
There's Dover. You ever been to Dover?
It's literally bigger than New York City. And it's like, it's like the three biggest cities. I mean, I guess it's not as big as Tokyo, but it's pretty important at the time.
Sure. So yeah, I watched the first two attempts of his to break into the American market. And the first one is made by that guy who did Enter the Dragon.
What is the name of this movie, Adam?
It's called The Big Brawl. And it's just
sounds like The Big Boss, right?
Yeah. And it's like, it's okay, but it's just like not shot. It's as slow and kind of clunky as like Enter the Dragon feels to me. And it's just like not that. It's just like, who gives a shit? Also, with both of these movies, I think something that worked different, or like Rumble in the Bronx, the Protector is the second one, and that's better. It's got Danny Aiello in it, and it's not as much of a Jackie Chan movie, but it's like a pretty good like cop action movie that has some Jackie Chan shit in it. But in both of those movies, he's like he's speaking English, and he's like doing scenes with Danny Aiello and stuff in English.
Oh yeah,
and you can tell that he's like having.
Well, it's a James Glickenhaus movie. It's trash. So a big mistake for him was like, oh, I'm going to make movies in America. And then he hooks up with James Glickenhaus, the
Wait,
director.
what else did that guy make?
He made The Exterminator. He made McBain, the movie they make fun of in The Simpsons.
Oh, nice.
That McBain's a movie starring Christopher Walken that is just completely nuts. It has a scene where a character shoots a gun out of an airplane window at a helicopter, and the helicopter blows up. Like it's utterly nonsensical.
Nice.
And Robert Klaus is kind of a hack,
Dude,
Enter the Dragon.
His best
Enter the
movie
Dragon is
Darker Than Amber.
It's not like Fist of Fury.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Fist of Fury is better.
Mm.
The Hong Kong directors are very important to these movies. Like they are the only ones who understand how to make them. You can't have, that's why honestly, like even Kill Bill, which has that amazing fight scene at the end,
mm-hmm. And that's choreographed by
Yuen Won-ping.
Yeah.
Right. Who also choreographed The Matrix and Crouching Tiger. But even Kill Bill is lifting scenes from like Fist of Fury. There's like there's homages to all sorts of different movies. Like the creativity required to come up with this is like to do these these fight sequences is you just have to be doing it for decades if you really want to be at the level
Yeah.
of like the best 80s and 90s Hong Kong action films. You got to be living it. You know?
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, another thing that his first movies, his first two American movies had that, or it didn't have, that Rumble in the Bronx has, is his stunt team.
Sure.
And so like he's kind of just like in an American production by himself and like trying to do his thing, and it's just like not, you know.
But he also doesn't really have that in Rumble in the Bronx either, because the gang is not. It's mostly white guys in Canada, right?
No, there's members of his stunt team there
in the gang. There's definitely a few Asian guys.
Yeah,
but like I heard that like they had to all be trained for like months to get up to snuff.
Oh, really? So yeah, I mean, he's like, it's just, he's kind of like out of his element, but I think you'd like The Protector, actually.
So the other thing that Tarantino said about the way they shoot these action
was this
scenes,
a fucking podcast about Tarantino?
Well, this isn't. Well, I don't have an interview with Stanley Tong to go off of, but like
okay.
He said the thing he learned making Kill Bill was you have to shoot everything in order. And that means like if the camera's on one side of the room and then you cut to the other side of the room, you have to actually move the camera to keep continuity. And like normally in an American movie, you just shoot one side of the room and then you do all the shots and then you go to the other side. So that's very important when you have like Stanley Tong directing Rumble in the Bronx, you know?
What do you mean?
Well, you have to have a guy who knows how to shoot this shit.
Oh, sure. Also, I read that he does the stunts before he asks people to do them. Like he did the one where Jackie jumps off like across from one roof to like the fire escape of another building. He did that.
Yeah.
Which is badass.
Which proves all of these stunts are easy.
Yeah. Anybody can do them. It's not a big deal.
You know?
Yeah, totally. And yeah, so like Rumble in the Bronx, I mean, it's such a funny, like the non-action parts are so funny and stupid that to me, that's a plus. And I think normally you would think that's a plus too, but because it's a movie that you know I like, you don't want to, you're withholding that and loving it.
Well, but I put you on the spot. I said, name a funny thing that Jackie Chan does in the movie. Not his cool uncle.
That uncle is cool.
And you were unable to name anything. So.
Oh, the mirror scene.
Oh yeah, it's funny. Okay, the mirror scene is funny.
I mean, this is like maybe this isn't one of his funnier movies. Maybe this is one of his more gritty.
It's like it's just a charming kind of funniness, but it's not exactly hilarious. It's not like.
Sure.
And also because it only works. You're watching these like weird physical moments. You can't really put it into words. You can't say like, oh, why does this work on paper? It's like, it's just cool. He's running. He has like a bent. He's like running. Like I'm watching the scene where he's on like he's in the junkyard fighting these guys or like in an alleyway and like he's like on a bent monkey bar thing and he's like rolling around on it and this guy's getting knocked off on it and this guy is like falling here and this guy's jumping there. Like it's a spectacle.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just like acrobat shit.
You love acrobat stuff. That's the other thing I didn't like about
cinematic.
Fury Road was like the acrobat stuff. Like the guys on the sticks.
I mean,
going back and forth.
Yeah, I mean that's like silly.
I mean, acrobat.
That's for Cirque du Soleil shit.
What I also read on IMDb, they were saying like they even pitched calling the movie Rumble in Vancouver because it's so obviously shot in Vancouver.
Yeah,
and really they're like, and then the producer's like, just call it Rumble in the Bronx. No one cares.
Yeah, I mean nobody wants to go see Rumble in Vancouver.
That would be so. It just doesn't roll off the tongue.
Yeah, of course.
Oh fuck, dude, Vancouver. It's a lot of bad shit going down there.
They did do a good job of authentically portraying this city, though. Even though it was shot in Canada, they nailed it. The locations, the people, You felt like you're walking down the street in the Bronx.
Yeah, the fact that there's like two white people in this movie makes it impossible to believe they're in the Bronx.
Why? There's more white people in the Bronx than.
There's no white people in the Bronx.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But you know what is in the Bronx?
Hmm.
There were a shit ton of gangs in the Bronx.
Of course.
Like the Warriors.
Yeah.
Those like you watch the Warriors, you're like, this is ridiculous. There's no gangs like this. But then you watch like, I watched a documentary on like the history of gangs in the Bronx, and it was like, nope, they're like the Warriors.
They're all wearing matching vests and stuff.
They're like wearing costumes. But the funny thing is, in the gangs like that were like teenagers. They're like high school kids.
Right.
And in Rumble in the Bronx, these are like 30-year-old gang members, like way too old.
Dude, no, it's a very, very standard Bronx gang. Multicultural. Everybody's in their 30s.
Zero. What crimes are they into? They're just in the shenanigans.
Yeah.
They don't deal drugs.
Just having a great time. That's the only crime.
A dune buggy with LED lights on it.
Yeah. This is very like it's like Jackie Chan's Death Wish too, I would say. Like the gangs are cartoonish. And
oh yeah, no, absolutely. They're absurd.
Yeah.
They're just doing a lot of hooting and hollering. But the gangs in Death Wish, weren't they like killing people and they're like
right.
dealing drugs?
Yeah, these guys hanging out, having a good time.
They're into vandalism.
It's like CKY, the CKY crew.
Well, they're not videotaping their shenanigans. See, if they were videotaping, they could have a show on MTV.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so like the stunts in this movie are definitely the cool thing about it. Like, what would you say is the best stunt in this movie? The best set piece, or like the best? Like, if you have to watch one scene for Rumble in the Bronx,
I guess like the parking garage scene is a good one where the ends with him. Well, they push over that ball pit.
Oh
truck.
Yeah, no, it's a truck with the funniest American guy ever. It's an American guy who's a hippie, but also is wearing like a Confederate flag hat.
Yeah, that's just a normal American job, you know.
He's like I'm the play ball. I'm the ball guy.
Yeah.
And he goes from town to town with a bunch of balls.
It seems like he's like a birthday party sort of guy. You hire him for a birthday, but why would you hire a guy that has a truck full of playground balls?
Well, what if it was like a giant truck with like, you know, Chuck E. Cheese ball pit kind of balls?
That'd be awesome, but it's not that. But I like that this movie this movie is a good example of like when you see another culture's racism. And this is like what racist Chinese people think of like the melting pot of America and like what an American job is. And
well, I think you're right to bring up Death Wish 2 and 3 because I think this gang is based on them watching those 80s action films.
Yeah.
Right? Like
that's why this is kind of a unique, cool Jackie Chan movie, I think, too, is because it's like there's not other movies where he's dealing with like a gang like this.
Also, didn't you think the gangsters, the mafia people, look like Reservoir Dogs?
Oh
gangsters?
Yeah, those guys are awesome. They all have Uzis.
They have
just fucking let them rip.
Plus, they're into stolen diamonds, which is a lot of Reservoir Dogs.
Oh, sure.
And also, Reservoir Dogs is inspired by a Hong Kong action film, City on Fire.
Mm.
The whole robbery, the whole end sequence from City on Fire is just basically lifted and turned into Reservoir Dogs. Like there's an undercover cop, you know, there's like all the characters from Reservoir Dogs except for Chris Penn and his dad.
Nice.
Are essentially in City on Fire.
Oh, that's cool. So that's like the first, because his movies are always like
homages.
Yeah, and that's an homage to that. That's cool.
So my favorite stunt in Rumble in the Bronx, the one I was most impressed by, is when they tie up all the cables to the building.
Yeah.
Of the shopping market, the grocery store.
A lot of cables.
And then they just completely rip apart the entire building. I mean, that's
Yeah, that's
pretty
cool.
impressive.
It is.
And it's
They
also
really did it
funny.
too. It seems like.
Well, yeah, you can, and also you can tell the whole building is made out of like PVC pipe
Right, right.
and like cardboard because the whole thing falls apart. There's like no fan. This building would not hold up to code.
Sure, sure.
It's also, I can't believe they never got a scene. I wonder if it got cut out where the uncle comes home and it's just like, what the fuck happened to my grocery store?
Yeah,
Oh my God. And yelling, and Jackie Chan's like, sorry.
yeah, yeah. It's fun to think about. Like this whole time, his uncle is just like
On his honeymoon,
banging the shit out of this lady.
which is a funny plot scene, plot device.
Oh yeah.
The climax is pretty good too with the hovercraft, which you see in the Bronx a lot. Let's be
Of
honest.
course. Yeah.
Everywhere you go in the Bronx, there's hovercrafts.
Yeah. That's what people mean when they say they're like taking the L or whatever. They're talking about a hovercraft.
Do you think this scene is written? Do you think like they even had a screenplay for the last half hour of the movie? Because I feel like there's so many weird physical things going on. There's so many locations. There's so many like necessary elements. Like I feel like there was probably a lot of rewriting going on where they're like, yeah, like look at this location. This is cool. Like we got to use the hovercraft. Let's just start.
Yeah. You
Let's
see the
just,
hovercraft.
like,
they're like, what is that? And I guess a hovercraft.
Oh, we got it.
Like, oh my God.
Okay, so we have a hovercraft. We got to bring that on land. Like we got to have. Oh, wouldn't it be funny if the hovercraft drove over a car and then Jackie Chan was in the car and like.
Yeah.
I just feel like they have to be. This movie went through a very organic production where they're constantly using things that they find to make it better, and that it's very loose.
That's cool. I get what you're saying. I think that's true. I think that may be true. Or maybe they're just really good at like scouting and stuff. But because he has to like look at the environment and get his ideas from there.
If they're getting injured all the time and they're like stopping and taking breaks, it probably gives the director more time to like prepare big action sequences.
Totally.
Which is not something I would imagine on The Big Brawl or.
Yeah. That's another thing I read too, is like he could only do a take or two of things. And that's not how he works. He does like a lot of takes until he gets it.
Yeah, for sure. Like there's no way. I heard that on IMDb, they said that gang brawl in the hideout took like 20 days to shoot.
Nice. That's a cool hideout, by the way.
And like bring it back to Kill Bill. Like I think Kill Bill took forever to shoot in that giant action scene. So
yeah, you got to get it right.
That's why like it really helps to have the stuntmen just like paid year round because you're like, hey, we need a lot of stuntmen right now.
I watched this thing called Jackie Chan My Stunts, and it shows his like the plate, like his stage or space where him and his stunt team come up with shit, and they have like obstacles and stuff like that they use as like stand-ins for things, but they like plan all this stuff out in like this separate spot and then go and shoot
like that Street Fighter training room. When you play Street Fighter, there's like the training room where you can practice moves, like that kind of thing. Like an
it's like that. There's a gym and stuff, and like I don't know what they did for the cool gang hideout, but that's a gang I want to be a part of. That looks like a fun gang.
Where you're like, all right, guys, we're going to go to the grocery store and we're going to take all the chips.
We're going to drink Welch's apple juice because we're bad.
Like those guys are so old. They would all have so many kids.
Yeah.
Just getting drunk and fucking all these girls. Like,
yeah.
Gang members need money because they have like bills. They have like legal fees. They're like, these guys are just like fucking around, breaking things, having motorcycle races, and they're just like their receding hairline is like it's going pretty far back on their heads.
Yeah, totally. But they're doing well for themselves. They have like pinball machines and shit. Like they're figuring it out. They're making it work. How many pinball machines do you have?
0.
Yeah, see?
Those pinball machines are also really rare, and they destroyed them.
That's badass. That's punk. This is a punk gang. That's the difference, I think, is like, they're not in like the money making business. They're in like the
Well, I mean, based on their
fast
hideout,
die
like,
young.
it looks like they're stealing TVs. They're stealing like appliances and they're selling them.
They could have, instead of
They're like a robbery crew.
Yeah, instead of riding their dirt bikes on cars, they could have stolen that Rolls Royce that was like parked
Exactly.
conspicuously in this like really shady alley.
Instead of just destroying the cars, they could have just stolen them.
Yeah,
And sold them.
but
And
that's not
also
the punk ethos, you know. It's
well,
like,
they're stealing appliances, but like I heard, if you want to be a criminal, like stealing cars is one of the best things to do because the jail time isn't really that bad, and
compared
the
to
profit
drugs.
is, yeah, the profit's pretty good.
Um,
Little tip
okay,
out there
okay.
for our criminal
Nice.
up and comers.
Yeah. If you're the guy in jail right now listening to this, maybe just don't worry about that part. But everyone else.
Well, my buddy in jail is doing all right. He's got 3 more weeks.
Yeah, he's almost out, I was going to say.
I feel bad because he missed the Capitol riots, which was like one of the best like Twitter days ever, you know, like just watching that unfold live on YouTube and Twitter was just like, was amazing. I
was kind of dealing with the pregnancy stuff, so I wasn't really.
Oh, another reason not to have a kid. So I was like, earlier that week, I told my girlfriend, I'm like, look, this is gonna be a big week for like Twitter. Like, we got the Georgia runoffs, we got the Stop the Steal rally, the Electoral College confirmation. This is gonna be big.
Yeah.
And
what was her reaction?
She's like, whatever, you're stupid, you're always right. And then like on Wednesday, I basically sat on my couch for like 48 hours just watching all the videos of the people declaring themselves. I mean, that's the gang in Reservoir or at Rumble in the Bronx is very similar to the Capitol riot guys. Like they don't have a plan.
Yeah.
They're destroying things. They're very open about it.
Yeah.
And
Capitol riot protesters are just like drinking Snapple that they didn't pay for in Nancy Pelosi's office.
Well, yeah, they're like, look, I got Nancy Pelosi Snapple. Ooh, I'm drinking it. And they don't even understand, like,
holy shit, they are. This gang is the Capitol protesters.
Like the cops would have come down so hard over this gang.
Yeah, because they're just like, these guys are fucking clowns. Like, who cares? Let's just throw them in jail.
Yeah, like they're broadcasting it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was awesome. I feel bad for my buddy in prison, like, or in jail. Like,
just that he didn't have access to Twitter that day.
He didn't get to see all the fun and shenanigans and the memes and like the Buffalo guy. Like, I wonder, like, does he know? I'm sure he told me they all get tablets now.
Okay.
Like once a week for good behavior, and that's what you get like 3 hours of tablet time.
Well, that's like a very healthy amount of social media, I would say.
And then
we should all be in that routine.
And then you get to like, I guess you get to use the internet and you get to like watch movies for 3 hours.
That sounds great. I want to go to jail.
Well, there's also like a whole TikTok jail
nice.
Trend going on right now.
Wait, what? How so? What are they doing?
They're just broadcasting. Like, they're TikToks? Like broadcasting themselves. Yeah. In jail.
That's cool. They showing like their giant asses and stuff.
Like they do like videos like how to cook. Like this is what we cook. And they like make their prison meals with like the hacked light bulb electricity. Cause they don't have electrical outlets. They can only use the electricity from like the light system. And then they like wire that. And that's how they like warm water.
Okay.
They just take a wire out of a light bulb.
That honestly sounds like the best thing that's actually on TikTok. Because anything else you see on TikTok is, I mean, if it's like some like hot girl doing stuff, but otherwise it's like just really shitty comedy. But this sounds like it's useful and interesting.
Yeah, I wonder if there's other subcultures that are using it. That would be interesting to see their trends, you know, how they cook.
I mean, the skateboarding Fleetwood Mac guy that's actually like an interesting TikTok video.
And also I think the thing I like about that video is that he's not doing that aggressive TikTok thing where it's just like, I got to entertain you like immediately. It just has this cool vibe.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think more TikToks need to have one long shot, one cool vibe.
Hell yeah. Well, what the fuck? Should we talk about Rumble in the Bronx?
Yeah, I mean, I'm waiting for you to. You wanted to pick this movie. This was like, you love Jackie Chan. I figured you would have endless things to say about it.
Well, I mean, what is not really? I guess I was kind of like, why did I pick this movie? But I love this movie, and I watch this movie. I've seen this movie a lot, and I think it inspired me to get into to take kung fu lessons, which worked out great for me as a middle schooler. But I don't know. So it's a really watchable movie, I think, because of this funny dubbing, because of this like bizarre Chinese version of an inner city in America, and because the stunts are awesome.
Well, this also is him. This is a real Hong Kong movie made in America.
Yeah, or
and
Canada.
Canada, and then you got that. Before, with The Protector and stuff, it was watered down. So I think, I mean, I just really love Hong Kong action films, and I find they typically always work, and they're always entertaining, even when they're completely ridiculous, because they're always very fast paced.
Yeah.
The stunts are amazing, and they don't really bullshit. So
Totally.
I was expecting this movie, having not seen it, to be like a stupid American film. To be like, I didn't realize Stanley Tong directed it. I didn't realize it was so.
I see.
Like, the truth is, you can probably watch any Hong Kong action movie and be entertained. They're almost always good.
Yeah, well, they're doing crazy shit.
It's like the most consistent output of any region in the world.
Okay.
In my opinion, like they don't, there's not that many. I mean, like you have Wong Kar-wai making like the art house movies, but they don't do a lot of art house movies. And yeah, there's a lot of dramas, but when it comes to their action movies, they're the best.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. Like when you see those American attempts, and also his movies, like, the fucking Brett Ratner movies and stuff that he did, where they're not shooting this fights or the stunts in the Hong Kong style, where they like undercrank the camera like 2 frames, and it makes everything like feel like really fast and real. And like, then they're not like juicing the sound design a little bit with like really good like hits and stuff. And like, it's just like these little touches that make like such a huge difference. And so it makes sense that this one would be the one that he like broke in with. But I also feel like it's this is such a good one for him because it also like introduces him to an American audiences in the movie. Like with that scene, it's, he's like a guy coming from China to America, and then he's doing that scene with like the wooden dummy. And he's doing like handstand push-ups and
totally, like whenever a foreign actor comes and makes an American film, they need to have a scene where they get off the airplane.
Yeah, that was the thing that was missing from the other ones.
That's why the Terminator works so well, is because he just like appears in an electrical bubble.
Yeah, like a foreign person. Like, how do they get to our land?
You're like, whoa, this guy's a robot from the future.
Yeah. Okay.
He's here.
Yeah. So I think that like, yeah, that seems to be like why it really like was successful. I think. In addition to like its cool
the location is a huge part of it.
Yeah. Well, Protector is actually like it's like a real looking version of New York. It's in New York, of course, but like it just feels, it's kind of funny that Rumble in the Bronx is like the New York movie that was good, and it's like a fucking cartoon Canadian Hong Kong interpretation of that.
But you get the real distilled Jackie Chan action. You're not getting the Diet Coke version.
Also, he did Rumble in the Bronx is like the whole movie is like all versions are dubbed because there's everybody speaking their like native language in scenes together. Like Jackie Chan was like, I'm not going to try to learn English again. I suck at it. So there's scenes where he's he's like speaking Chinese to two actors that are talking in English to him. And
that's the way that's like the Italians would do that.
Yeah. Also him dubbing his own voice in English, I think was a good move because it works as, like with the story in Rumble in the Bronx because he's a Chinese guy that speaks broken English, but like it also makes him, it's like a charming thing about Jackie Chan is like he kind of fumbles with English as a second language and like it just sounds, it just makes him seem like that's another humanizing thing about him. Bruce Lee would be like, I speak perfect English. Yeah.
Well, the other thing is like they continued this theme with Rush Hour and Shanghai Noon by always making him like he's a guy from China, right? They never made him seem like they didn't do the Schwarzenegger thing where it's like, hi, my name is Doug Quaid. I am an American. Like
American Joe.
Yeah, like it's good to make him a fish out of water. And that's really the formula that stuck with Jackie Chan in America. It's like, yeah, he's a fish out of water.
Totally.
He's so cool. And then like Jet Li comes along and they're like, all right, enough Jackie Chan. We got to make Jet Li the new guy.
Yeah. And I remember actually when Jet Li was in Lethal Weapon 4, like the first scene where he displays his stuff. I remember when I saw that movie in the theater and people were like, well, holy shit, this is crazy. Because he was like faster than Jackie Chan. And it's like, you haven't seen that before. And like, these are star making moments when you see these guys do these crazy things because you hadn't seen that before in an American movie. It's like a spectacle. It's like a reason to go to see the movie.
Yeah. And out of all these guys, Jackie Chan, he kind of wrote it longer than all the other ones. Like he wrote it longer than Jet Li and Chow Yun Fat
because those guys are serious.
And and they just couldn't make the movies for them. Can you imagine a comedy with Jet Li?
That sounds hilarious.
Jet Li is and Jack Black are in the IRS, and they gotta do the taxes.
Honestly, Jet Li has like no personality. I feel like
that's a real weakness on his part.
Yeah. I like Tony Jaa. He's cool because he like that whole like thing after Ong Bak. He went and he like didn't like being famous, and he like went and like lived in the jungle and like meditated for a year or something like that. He did some crazy Buddhist thing, and then he was talked out of it, I guess. But like, he seems like
he got talked out of it.
I don't know why he then came back and just started doing movies again, but
maybe he was like, I'm ready to do another movie again.
He kind of had a Chappelle moment.
They're like, hey, let me talk you out of this.
But yeah, like that was his.
Why are you meditating? You need to be in Monster Hunter.
Yeah,
he's in the new Monster Hunter movie.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds dumb.
The video game from the director of Resident Evil.
Is that a Japanese video game?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's a big movie, and it got in trouble because they made a joke in the trailer about Chinese, like about like someone's knee.
Okay.
And then like it erupted into this huge controversy online, and
cancel Monster Hunter.
They canceled it in China. Right now during COVID, it can't play in any theaters in the world except for like China
because of the Chinese
joke.
What's the joke again? Can you?
I don't even know it. I don't remember.
Okay.
But like, it's just so funny that like, what kind of knees are those? Chinese? That's what they said. It's just a pun, and they were probably doing it to like placate and play to the Chinese audience, and they're just like, boo.
Yeah.
I don't like to
They
be
thought
made
they would
fun
love
of,
the Chinese joke.
Like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, they didn't like the Bruce Lee thing.
Yeah.
His daughter pushed against it. So it was fun in the 80s, like in the 80s, every Chinese and Japanese character in a movie was just like a horny guy with a camera.
Mm-hmm.
And these are like big movies, like with big stars, and they just would do this. This was like the playbook. And then these white Americans are just now realizing like, oh, we can't just make fun of them.
Oh, I see. They don't like that.
Did you ever see Breakfast at Tiffany's?
Yeah, I have. I know what you're talking about.
Mickey Rooney. I mean, that's absurd.
Yeah, that's very nuanced and thoughtful.
You know what's
That
crazy is
impression.
speaking of like wearing a different race is have you ever seen there's an Othello adaptation with David or Laurence Olivier,
Okay.
and
And he's in blackface?
he's in serious blackface, and
Nice.
he was nominated for Best Actor, and it's from the 60s. It's so fucking crazy.
Maybe so he was just doing a really good blackface performance. Seems like.
I mean, it's like it literally looks like Tropic Thunder.
Nice.
It's so nuts. But yeah,
That'd be cool.
1965.
What?
These our understanding of race is constantly evolving.
Yes, but a movie like Rumble in the Bronx can really show you that we're all the same. You know?
Well, the truth is this movie does have a good take on race, and it has a positive depiction of a multiracial marriage
Yes.
that I think is actually I think will hold up well in the future.
I agree. Yeah, remember how cute they look when they show up and they're wearing the same outfits as they're about to go on their honeymoon?
It's great.
Yeah.
It would be great if there was if this movie was American, you definitely would have seen them on their honeymoon.
Yeah.
And they
Just
would have
having
had like they would
really dirty
checking
sex.
in. Well, they'd be like checking in like, hey, is the grocery store okay? And Jackie Chan would be like, oh God.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Everything's great. He's like, what's that noise? You know?
Yeah, totally. There's no time for that in this movie.
So they didn't show any of that. So I think we're ready for a spin-off. Like what was going on with the dirty sex, you know?
Yeah. We should write fan fiction of that. A really erotic fan fiction of Jackie's uncle and aunt on their honeymoon.
I imagine when they have sex, like the uncle, he like goes cross-eyed and goes, oh, like right when he comes. Like,
Yeah.
'cause that's what kind of character he is.
Yeah.
And then I definitely think the woman is insatiable.
Yeah.
You know?
She's a size queen. That's why she married him.
Oh yeah.
He just has a huge hog, Uncle Bill.
It would have been great if there was a scene where Jackie Chan walked in and she would just like was jerking off his like 10-inch boner.
Yeah.
And Jackie Chan's like, oh, like close the door, doesn't want to see that. And then like one of his girls comes over.
Yeah.
He's like, let's get out. And then the uncle's like, Jackie, come here. I can't get it down. There's too much blood flowing.
And Jackie has to suck him off to completion. Yeah, that'd be cool if that was in the Hong Kong version. Probably.
And you had it. Would he do that kind of stunt work?
Ooh, that's a good question. Do you really do your own stunts, Jackie? Let's find out. Let's find out how committed you are to that.
Imagine if Jackie Chan just like got paralyzed in one of these movies, like halfway through.
And they had to finish the movie.
And he's just like in a body cast.
Yeah.
Being wheeled around the whole time. And it's just like, they're like, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get like Sammo Hung. Okay. And he's going to come in and he's just going to he's going to be the hospital worker who has to like push his wheelchair around.
Yeah.
And then the whole movie was just Sammo Hung pushing Jackie Chan's limp body into like gangsters, like pushing them off parking lots. Structures.
Oh, yeah.
Or like he just takes his wheelchair and just like pushes him and he has to go across the gap between the two buildings.
Nice.
And he just like, it's just Jackie Chan in a wheelchair, just like haphazardly falling
Yeah.
and landing.
That'll be the last Jackie Chan movie.
He's just like his just like neck is broken
Yeah.
during like a freak stunt mishap.
I mean, he has broken his neck, I think. I think he broke it in the armor of God. He like fell he was jumping into a tree and it broke and the branch broke and he fell. But
I mean,
that's how,
he has to be a drug addict, right? Like, there's no way you can be this injured and not be
yeah.
on pills.
Yeah, honestly, the last movie he should make, he should die during. How awesome would that be?
Oh, that would be hilarious, dude.
No,
If
just
he
good, like cool.
just like drop him off a building,
Yeah, that's his last stunt.
and he just like, I mean, they would like because like he's already fallen off a building. They've shown him. Remember in Police Story, he falls off like down the mall
Yeah,
and all the lights and through the broken glass. Like, if he didn't have to survive,
he could do
I'm
an
sure
amazing stunt.
like an amazing stunt he's never done before, like something.
Yeah. Come on, Jackie. Time is running out.
I mean, like Super Cop, the motorcycle stunt. Like,
Yeah,
and that's the other thing. Like, is a stunt good if the guy dies? No, it's not. It's like then you're just killing a guy.
that's just manslaughter.
Yeah, it's just death, just snuff.
Um,
Yeah, you know what? I think here's the ultimate stunt. I think. Okay.
okay.
Jackie Chan is in between two cars on a highway. His arms and legs are held by gangsters.
Okay.
And the two cars have to keep the same speed, as they go through the highway. And he's just like hitting, people like motorcycles and like there's like poles in the way. And then at the very end, like the two cars have to like split in half and his body has to be ripped in half over.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
And it's just his head just like rolls and goes into like a tree grinder, like a branch grinder.
Just make sure that there's no way he could be saved.
And like his girl, it just hits like Maggie Chung like in the face, like all the gore, all the blood.
Yeah.
And she's just like, "You wrecked my outfit." And it's like Police Story 5 or whatever.
Yeah. And then the blooper reel starts playing.
With the music.
Yeah. With like the pop punk kung fu song.
And it's like, and they like, you see him like scoop up his body and all the blood, and they just like put it in like a little coffin. And they're like, they like salute it, and they're like sad, but they're happy because the shot is perfect. And like, and then it cuts up, and then like the camera goes up, and you see in heaven, like the sky, and you see in heaven, Jackie Chan just gets like a thumbs up looking into the camera.
Oh my God, I would cry. I'd be crying in the theater.
That would be an amazing stunt.
That would be pretty good.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks.